There it is. Hello! Welcome to Fanfic Friday. My worst nightmare. Possibly also yours. Possibly the cause of some of your nightmares. Fanfic Friday is the weekly event where I read old fanfics I wrote in middle and high school, and they're all horrible. Whew, this week we're continuing the horrible, beautiful love story, I meant to say, between a 19-year-old former Marine and Sephiroth from Final Fantasy. We'll give it a few minutes and see who pops in. Hello, Santa Muertero and Jeff. Hello. Queen, thanks for joining us. Give it a minute or two. Alright, is that good? Okay. Okay. Hello, Cygnus. So we are on, let's see, chapter 7. We'll do 7 and 8 this week of 30. So long to go, miles to go before we sleep. I have tried, we do have, images are back this week. I did decide to go ahead and continue that. Keep up the wonderful pain. Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. It's something. I tried to avoid reading too much while I was creating these beautiful images, but, oh man, I caught some things. I was like, oh boy, this is something else. This is something else. Oh boy, oh boy. But thank you all for joining me. We'll also have Haunting Ground later today, of course. Nothing this weekend, because I have some stuff going on, got some things to finish and do. Responsibilities. But anyway, yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and get started with chapter 7. We will meet again. I don't know who's we, why we're meeting, who knows, but anyway. How's it look? 14-year-old Samantha looked to her left and smirked. It's fine, Mom. You're beautiful. The blonde woman grinned with a slight blush. You think so? She turned to the road and continued driving as the skies got darker outside. Sam nodded and looked outside the car. Yeah, all the guys are gonna go nuts. Because this is a pair of mom and daughter that go out in the town hunting for dudes together. Mom smiled sweetly as she turned onto the bridge. Sweetie, I'm sorry about the I'm sorry about the divorce. I don't want to, but it's for the best. Sighing, Sam shook her head. Mom, I'm fine. I understand. And I really don't want to talk about it. Let's just go home. Mom sighed. I feel bad about dropping you off so I can go have fun. It's not often your friends invite you out, Mom, and I can't drink. I'll be fine. Write a little, read a little, you know. With a laugh, Mom swept her hair out of her eyes. I can't get over how mature you are. Sam laughed. Well, some people grow faster than others. I mean, I might be more mature than you. Hey, I resent that. I mean, when I was... Mom! Bright light blinded them. Screeches met their ears as the car spun out of control and water pelted the windshield. Car horns blaring and the crunch of metal meeting metal. Something broke. Glass shattered and metal tore asunder. The car tilted, screams and blaring horns and terrible thunder. Mom! Dun dun dun. Hello, Anime Best, Leon. Thanks for joining us. We're in the thick of it already. In a flashback. 14-year-old Sam opened her eyes. She was in a void. There was nothing, no one. Just an open plain of nothingness as far as the eye could see. No living thing in the empty space, not even blackness. Just a hollow, lifeless, deathless... Getting so intense here. Deathless sense of utter defeat and emptiness. Groaning, Sam stood. Footsteps broke the silence as she began to stumble, scanning the darkness. Anyone there? Mom? Jamie? Anyone? There was no echo to her voice. There were no winds. No chill down her spine, no cold, no warmth, no light, no darkness, but she could see perfect, if not even better than she normally did. It was an empty world. Where am I? There was an echo behind these words. Parentheses, death, is what it says next. Not a sentence, not like, and it says it 3 times in a row, so like, oh, I'm not allowed to check because I'm not signed in, apparently. I was going to show y'all what it looked like, but it literally is just death, death, just, God. Was there nothing in the world here? What happened to Mom? I can't remember where... Mom and I were going home. Sam slid gently down to her knees. Someone was coming. She could hear footsteps. There was no light, but somehow she could see the reflection of silver from afar, coming closer. Hello? Sam asked. The man kept coming. There is now another poem. Again, because of course, I kept throwing poems and quotes and songs everywhere here. The poem is, "We will meet again, my friend, 100 years from today, far away from where we lived and where we used to play. We will know each other's eyes and wonder where we met. Your laugh will sound familiar. Your heart I won't forget. We will meet, I'm sure of this, but let's not wait till then. Let's take a walk beneath the stars and share this world again." Ron Atkinson. And that's going to be the best thing that you've heard today. And surely the best thing written in this fic. I'm so sorry for associating your poem with my fic. But that is what I did. I awoke in a cold sweat. Not even the aftermath of my mother's death had I ever had any dreams of her or what had happened that day. And I don't remember the part about an empty void. That must have been made up by my imagination. I gagged, trying to get the sick feeling out of my throat. My hair was a mess. I looked to see I was sleeping on the floor. Across the room, Kadaj was collapsed against the kitchen counter. Yazoo was drinking coffee, and Lowe's was snoring soundly in the other room. I couldn't see Sephiroth or Crystal. I could see a new guy. I remembered Sephiroth taking me to Crystal's apartment, where the 4 of them were having fun and partying. I joined in, but Sephiroth declined and left. I must have fallen asleep at some point. The new guy looked a lot like me, with sandy auburn hair. His eyes were opposite of mine, light and cheerful, blue eyes full of light. Okay. It was my brother, Jamie Wiley, whose name is incredibly unfortunate. "Hey, Jamie," I murmured, rubbing my eyes. Jamie smiled widely and jumped on me, giving me a bone-cracking hug. "Sis, it's great to see you. How have you been?" "Busy, it looks like. I mean, last I knew, you weren't buddies with anime characters, and now you're all together with..." "What?" I whispered loudly into his ear. "Anime? Never heard of it." Okay, so they aren't really anime, but they are from Final Fantasy, so that kinda counts. "Jamie, how do you know about them?" Jamie gave me a look and moved his head to the side, and I saw Yazoo in the kitchen again. I groaned. I must have been really sleepy. "Sorry, I'm kind of out of it." Jamie grinned and hauled me to my feet. "This is great! My little sis is buddy-buddy with the bad boys of Final Fantasy VII. I can't wait to see Sephiroth's cute rear." Yazoo spat out his coffee, but I just rolled my eyes. "Keep your eyes off my boy, bro." Jamie giggled. I stumbled sleepily into the kitchen. Yazoo nodded to me with a smile. "How can you already be awake?" I mumbled. "Early riser," he commented. He nodded to my brother. Jamie grinned. "Oh, this is my brother. I have no clue how he got here," I explained. "I used the tram," Jamie began. "You see, I was really bored, so I called my best friend in the world, my sister, and she wasn't home, but this really mean guy was. Now that I look back, that was Kadaj, and I thought..." "Brace yourself," I warned Yazoo. "My brother can go on forever." Where would my sister be if she wasn't home? Atlanta, duh. And who does Sam know in Atlanta? Me! All of us jumped, even my brother. All of a sudden, Crystal had come out from under the kitchen sink, pushing herself off of her knees. But of course, the island was right in front of her, so she didn't get very far. I guess she bumped her head? As she groaned and clutched her head, I bent down to help her. "What were you doing under the sink?" I chuckled, helping her to her feet. "Sink?" she asked. She turned and looked around behind her. Crystal turned back and gave us an enlightened look. That's what the scary dark void was. Middle school humor. Why was she under a sink? I don't understand anything of what's happened in the last, 3 paragraphs. The word void sent shivers down my spine as I remembered my dream. Jamie laughed. Crystal, you got lost under the sink? No way. Can't get lost if you're not moving. Oh my god. I'm gonna... I forgot to close my door. Let me do that real quick. Oh my god. Oh, nobody else in the house needs to hear this nightmare. Oh, jeez. I shook my head. I was surrounded by a bunch of idiots. Jamie leaned his head out of the kitchen, and a sly smile came over his face as Lowe's stumbled into the room. Mr. Sunshine's awake. Lowe's stumbled by me as he came to the fridge. Who invited him? That's my brother, I whispered. Lowe's laughed at the phrase, that's my brother? Okay. Lowe's laughed and opened the fridge. The kitchen was getting crowded, so I stepped out and walked to the sofa to look at Kadaj. He was sleeping soundly like a baby. He'll sleep forever if you let him, Yazoo commented. Part of me wanted to wake the boy, but he was so cute when he slept. So I took a picture to amuse myself. I felt very exhausted, but very refreshed. Behind the haunting images of my dream were the heart-pounding memories of the night before. The laughter and the realizations, along with the feelings I felt when Sephiroth's hands found their way to my skin. Everything in my mind was a collage. From the image of Kadaj sleeping to the smell of Sephiroth's hair last night to the screeching echo of glass and metal from my dreams. It was floating about my consciousness, driving me mad, ripping my thoughts from one to the other. As I floated to the window, because I'm a ghost now, I floated to the window to look out on the sunrise. As the sun began shimmering against the towering city, I let my eyes closed and swept all thoughts away. No thinking, not now. Now I have a sunrise to see. Oh my god, that was a lot in that last paragraph. Holy crap. Hey, Phil. Gonna be honest, if I read this in middle school, I would have loved it. See, that's what's really sweet about all this, is I really did become a writer because of stories like these, in part because other middle schoolers loved the crap out of this. Like, I got lots of comments and stuff on this story and the Kingdom Hearts ones I wrote. Like, it really gave me a lot of self-confidence and a incentive to write more. So I really wouldn't be the writer I am today without this bullshit. But it's still horrifying to look back on. There's another quote. We are each of us angels with only one wing, and we can only fly by embracing one another. Luciano di Crescenzo. What do you want to bet that I googled, quote, one-wing angel? Around noontime, I finished showering and dressing and stepped out of Crystal's room to see Lowe's and Yazoo madly drawing on their poor brother. I thought about waiting around to see what the boy did to them when he awoke, but I felt restless, so I bid everyone a fond farewell and stepped out the door, only to hear my brother behind me. Oh, sis, I'm coming! Jamie rushed out of the house after me, slipping on his shoes as quickly as he could. I watched him with a grin. A successful architect running around in old beat-up sneakers? Jamie chuckled nervously. Actually, I'm not as successful as you might have been led to believe. I gave my brother a look. Well, it's just you've always been really successful with your books, so I wanted you to think I was fine on my feet, too. I am fine, I'm just not great. I love Jamie. So, let me take a moment to talk about Jamie. Jamie being the main character's brother, and also he is a gay man. This is in part inspired by the fact that the story's written in Atlanta because a lot of my mom's family were from Atlanta, and so I spent a lot of my childhood there. It has a huge gay community, and my mom's brother was gay. I met him, but I was 3 or 4. I just remember, a vague image of his face, and he passed away, unfortunately, from heart disease, I believe, and his partner died of AIDS, I think. It's very tragic, but I created Jamie based off of, kind of that, my main character has a brother that's gay. I guess I was just sort of homaging the uncle I never knew, you know, kind of, and also probably underscore, you know, playing with homosexuality that I hadn't yet addressed in myself, you know, kind of an interesting way to go about it. So yeah, I love Jamie. I still have fond memories of creating him. Well, gee, I'm not doing that great either, bro. Jamie rolled his eyes. 4 hotties living with you and you're not doing great? He grinned. I'd say you're doing fine. I elbowed him, but he avoided me. Whatever. You know what? You want to hang out with me, you gotta be nice, okay? He shrugged with his mischievous grin. So where are we going? I shrugged. I don't know. I actually wanted some quiet alone time, you know. I joked, giving him a hard time. We both knew he couldn't keep his mouth shut. All right, I get it. I see when I'm not wanted. I laughed at him. Well, why don't you meet me for lunch at Panera's? just out of nowhere product placement. So many things I'm vague about, and then once in every, 3 chapters, I'm like, hey, you want to meet at Arby's? You want to go to Panera's? Apparently they only have restaurants in this town. Everything else is just vague. I've got work to do anyway. I nodded to my brother as he began backing off. See you later, I called, but he waved as he disappeared into the crowd. When did they enter a crowd? Didn't they just leave an apartment? Where is this crowd? I sighed and shook my head at him. Looking up at the tall buildings surrounding me, I began walking as I thought, Atlanta always seems to keep you on your toes. But nothing happened. It's clear that, I'm trying to give it a sense of place, but I was also 14 and only spent holidays in Atlanta. I didn't know anything about Atlanta. It's just, they have a Panera! God. Oh, man. I was thinking a lot. All sorts of things. Things I hadn't thought of in years. Things I didn't think I'd ever think again. The way the world sounded in my dream. The night when the car flew from the bridge. The sound the angel's wings made. The heart monitor slowly dying as my father's hand let mine go. My brother and I parting ways. My brother quietly running down the long pathway from the house to the street, and me standing on the porch just watching my life disappear. Only 3 years after all that, I had become a zombie. I wanted to disappear, but no one can disappear. No matter how much you feign invisibility, no matter how much you withdraw from society, you will see a face in the mirror. No matter how dead that face may look, there will always be skin on your bones until the day you die. And when you die, who knows where you disappear to? I thought about how Sephiroth died. I wondered where he disappeared to before Zack brought him back. And I wondered where Zack was, hiding out of reach, drifting in that realm of nothing I saw in my dream. Every corner I turned on my walk, every time I turned and came to see a street filled with cars on the other side, the sound of all the footsteps around me became rain, and the angry horns honking became panicked sounds, and the sounds of doors opening and closing became the squelching of metal on metal. I had to hold my head and sit down on a bench by the side of the road. You will never disappear from yourself, but others may not see you. You can become as invisible as the wind, making only sound, no shadow or reflection in the eyes of others. They won't look down on you enough to notice you exist. Cloud and I had a lot in common. I don't know. We both knew a strange group of silver-haired men, and we also knew what it was to disappear. We both had people die and leave and fade away. I'm not alone, but am I? Yeah, well that was something. That sure was something. That was me trying to get poetic, I guess? Dark? I was really depressed, guy. I was massively depressed. It's not not to get too real. This is the past and I'm fine with it, but, I was mentally ill and undiagnosed. My grandmother had a stroke and was living with us, and taking care of her was taking a lot out of the entire family, myself included. I had just lots of shit had happened all at once, so that, the years between 10 and 14 were just pitch black. It was bad, and fanfic was the way that I dealt with that. Definitely am fine now, no worries. And it's not tough for me to look back on that time, but I can see from this, it's like, oh no, child, oh no, oh no, ugh. And the problem was my family, other than my mother, who, she is just amazing and open and honest and everything, but like my father and his side of the family and us kids, just, I don't know if it's genetic or what, but we had this thing where just like, okay, we feel things and we will shove them down and we will not feel them and we will not tell anyone. No, don't tell anyone. No. So it wasn't until college until I was diagnosed with anything because I literally couldn't keep up the workload. But anyway, that was me and my dad. Just emotional repression. The grass was soft, green, and smooth, and the scent tickled my nose as I collapsed beneath a tall willow with a sigh. I found a willow branch in downtown Atlanta? I found a willow tree in downtown Atlanta? When did that happen? Where? What? Apparently there's okay. Willow branches tickled my nose as the wind blew them back and forth. Sighing, I closed my eyes. It wasn't long before I was asleep. I was at that place again. The empty place where no light or dark existed, and death kept echoing in my ears. Now I'm doing that thing with the parentheses again. Except the word this time is dream, so it just says, dream, dream, dream. I groaned and held my head, bending down. I didn't think it would be of any use, but I tried to call someone. Anyone there? No one answered me. I began walking, my footsteps making the only noises in the void. There was this feeling inside me, this knowing, as if I'd been here before. Déjà vu, I suppose, though I chuckled when I remembered my mother always said, vous jadez. Fun fact, if I mention something about the mother character in this story, it's probably something I took from my real mom. She says vous jadez all the time. Aw, you met your fiance because of a fanfic? That's so cute. Aw. I haven't met anybody because of fanfic, but I met people because of anime. My friend Mars, my lifelong best friend, like, partner in crime, we rode the same bus, and for, like, weeks, I remember we always we were the lone, the kids that don't want to be touched or looked at, so we each sat in the very back seat of the bus on opposite sides against the window, trying to avoid all humans. But I always thought that, like, Mars looked really cool, and I wanted to talk to him, and one day I noticed him reading Hellsing, and so I finally got up the guts and was like, hey, I really like that manga! And we're just friends forever ever since then. Thank you, Hellsing. The void was so strange. There was absolutely no light, but I felt myself coming across something or someone, and when I came to them, it was as if I was tripping over their existence, falling to my knees as I tumbled into some other reality. I was still in the void, but I could see someone else standing in the void too. He was looking at the ground, almost as if he was looking over an edge. To my surprise, hints and bits of thought floated through my mind. Wonder where I am. Was that really him? This feels so weird. At first, I had trouble figuring out who was standing before me. The voice seemed oddly familiar, but I had to get very close to see his crazy, spiky blonde hair. Hello, I whispered. Slowly, he turned to me. Not surprised in the least, but seemingly in a daze. Cloud turned, and when he saw me, he was surprised. Wait. And when he saw me, was then surprised. Okay, that's how I wrote that sentence. Who are you? He murmured. I suppose he thought I would be Aerith. She seemed to visit his dreams often. Well, if this isn't just a dream of mine. But it felt so real I couldn't comprehend it just being a dream. My name is Samantha, I murmured, sitting on the ground. Cloud looked down at me in curiosity. He sat and whispered his name. Cloud Strife. Why are we all whispering? Is that all that's allowed to, like, in the void you must whisper? Oops, I didn't mean to hit that. Cloud Strife. I nodded in understanding. Yes, that is your name. So do you know where we are? He asked. This feels too real to be a dream. I shrugged. I've been here before, I think, a long time ago, but I don't know where we are. You were here in a dream? Yeah. We were both very silent. I must say, sitting there with him was soothing. He had a calming presence, as if his strength and morale shimmered in the air wherever he went. I could see why Cloud had been the hero of the game. He wasn't exactly some perfect Superman. He wasn't even Batman. And he definitely wasn't Wonder Woman. But like I was saying, he had this heroic soul. How do I say this? It's like he's your dad. When you were a kid, didn't you think your dad was great? Maybe you still do, or maybe he was an asshole. Well, Cloud was what you'd want your dad to be. Your hero, big and strong and protective, funny and sometimes funny looking. But while he's your hero, he's not really a hero. He's not always very heroic, and you don't always love him because sometimes he sends you to the corner and he makes you eat your vegetables, and maybe he scares all the hot guys away. But that's because he loves you. And maybe he's moody and strange, but that's because he's human. He's your hero. He'll always fight for you. He'll never let you down, not if he can help it. Cloud's like a dad. That's what I felt sitting next to him. Oh my god. Oh man. Phil! No! Phil! I sat next to him thinking about that. When I realized Cloud was kind of my brother, if Kadaj and the others considered me their sister. He just didn't know about it, and I didn't feel like talking about it. So why are you here? I asked, leaning back. He looked at me. What do you mean? Last time I saw this was when I was dreaming about a day in my past. I think it was part of it. I don't remember. But what I'm saying is, I came here once in my past after something big happened. I'm here again because a lot of big things have happened. I was just wondering if something big had happened to you. So vague. Cloud examined my expression. He was very deep, I could tell, and very cold, but not icy. Just reserved. Not Arctic cold, not like Sephiroth. Well, I blushed. He's not been very cold recently. Cloud didn't answer for a moment. I wonder if he ever would, or maybe if it was too hard to answer. I've been thinking a lot, he murmured. I nodded, listening silently. A lot of strange things have been happening. An old friend of mine has a friend who has been recently having attacks, screaming and going unconscious for days. When she awoke, she'd tell us about these dreams, these memories she couldn't remember, as if she was dreaming of someone else's life. We've only known her for about 2 years or so, but we all care for her. We approached these people we knew who had resources. These people who had resources, you know. But after they took her into their care, she disappeared. I blinked. Disappeared? We sat silently again. I felt confusion drift over me. Why was this all happening now? I didn't understand. I couldn't understand. But here I was sitting next to a fictional character in an empty void, teetering on the edge of dreams and death. What about you? When I first came here, my mom died. And recently these strange angels have come into my care and I have to take care of them. Everything is changing and I feel like I'm in the dark. I curled my knees up and rested my chin on them. A light began rising in front of us. I wondered if it was the sunrise. Maybe in this strange world it was the sun setting. So what do we do now? I wondered aloud. Cloud sighed, adjusting to look at the sunset. I don't know, he admitted. Smiling, I reached out my hand and clutched his. He jumped. I knew now what the light was. It wasn't the sun. It was the two of us waking up. For now, we should wake up. I woke up. Another quote. The quote is, on the day we left, we burned down the family home and all the familiar things inside, because some memories aren't meant to leave traces. Anybody know what that one is? Come on, you nerds. You anime nerds. You recognize that one? Huh? It's funny I quote that, because I didn't even watch that show growing up. I didn't watch that until I was in, college. It's Full Metal Alchemist. Alright, that's that chapter. That's just one of the chapters we're reading today. Congrats, there's still so much more. Oh god. Oh man. Chapter 8. Memories. With a yawn, I opened my eyes. I wondered, staring about, looking around me for a sign of whoever had woken me up. A black feather fell from the sky above, and I knew who it was. My cheeks flushed as I looked up into the tree. Sephiroth was leaning against the trunk, looking to the sky. Good morning, I called. I think you mean good afternoon, Sleeping Beauty. He joked, smirking at me. I rolled my eyes and stood, patting the trunk of the tree. Slowly, I attempted to climb up it. So not only is there a frickin' willow tree in the middle of Atlanta, 2 frickin' weirdos are just climbing it. Good job, guys. Hey, Sephiroth, I called as I took firm hold of a tree branch. He looked down at me. What do you think if maybe, I don't know. I wasn't quite sure to word what I was saying. What is it, Samantha? He wondered as I climbed, pulling my leg up onto a branch. Well, I was just wondering, you know. I mean, my brother and I aren't doing so good. Crystal's barely on her feet. It's not like we have perfect lives here. Sephiroth listened intently as I grunted, shoving myself up onto another branch. And well, we can't hide you guys forever, so I was wondering... I finally pulled myself up higher, but Sephiroth was still a bit above me. What if we all went to your world? Sephiroth laughed. We would have to hide there as well. Not as much. Everybody thinks you're dead. Here, anybody could recognize you and go nuts. That could happen on Gaia as well. I huffed at his optimism. I thought it was a wonderful idea. What was to keep us here? McDonald's and Atlanta traffic? No thanks. You don't know a single thing about Gaia, yet you would leap into it, eyes closed, for us. Sephiroth murmured. I leaned against the tree trunk. Well, Crystal and Jamie know a lot, and you guys do. Who knows? Maybe I'll catch up eventually. I chuckled. Sephiroth looked at me. Besides, I know a little bit. Crystal told me about... I bit my tongue. I had almost admitted I knew about Meteor, which meant I knew about his past. I wasn't sure I wanted to scare him off by talking about his past. The light reflected against the tree leaves. You know about Meteor. I know. I let go of the unsteady breath I held. Sephiroth climbed down the tree until he was at my level. I looked into his eyes. The eyes that understood my soul, and the eyes I drowned in. I have to admit, I was really scared when I learned all about Genova and Hojo and all that. You have every right to be, he murmured, his voice soft and mellow. I shook my head. I'm not afraid as much anymore. I don't totally understand all of this, but I don't think I'm really afraid. I gave him a smile. I'm not going to be so sweet and naive and say I'm not afraid because I trust you. And it's not because I love you, though. Sephiroth smirked, and I let that sentence die. I don't think I'm afraid because there's no reason to be. No matter what happens, this is so much better than what my life was like before. I finished my monologue and looked deep into the eyes of the angel beside me. He seemed to be in awe. The glow of adoration and admiration burned into me, and I almost looked away. But then I remembered these are the eyes of someone who loves you. Don't look away. I did blush a lot, though. Oh my god. Sephiroth had a hood over his head, hiding his silver hair in his jacket. He and I walked side by side through Atlanta, randomly sauntering from place to place, just talking about whatever we wanted to talk about. Come on, tell me! I hopped on my feet, begging. Sephiroth laughed at my strange behavior. Seeing as I don't understand why you'd wonder about that, I think I'll keep you guessing. I pouted. It's a rhetorical question. Sephiroth gave me a strange look. So you ask any man you meet, boxers or briefs. I think we all know he goes commando under those. I laughed behind my hand. Can't forget commando, I added as he rolled his eyes at me. What, it's an honest question. Oh, jeez. I know what your brother probably wears, Sephiroth joked with a smirk. That's a weird thing to joke about. Be nice to my brother. Sephiroth rolled his eyes. What, he doesn't strike you as... I warned. Sephiroth huffed and stayed silent. We took the long way to where we were headed and ended up passing by City Hall. We continued talking, randomly speaking about this or that. I asked him what Gaia had been like, the good parts of his life there. He told me about different places and memories he had. There was a place called the Golden Saucer, which was like an amusement park. It sounded like fun. Hey Sephiroth, what do you think of Atlanta? Of my home? He looked at the sky and the clouds. It's fine. Part of me wanted to ask about all the mystery, all the things I didn't know. Why do I see a dark void? Have you and I really met before? I knew I wouldn't get any answers. And Sephiroth would probably try to distract me with embarrassing activities. The sky was a perfect blue that day. It reminded me of my mother's eyes, her eyes that had been soft and caring and warm on the soul. It was like being near stars, being in awe of the beauty of them. Sephiroth was the same way, but it was more like staring at the sun. Overwhelming. I turned to look at Sephiroth's eyes. Hey, Sephiroth, I began. He looked down to me. If we go to Gaia, would you... Sephiroth's hands kept me from walking. What is it? Would you settle down with someone? You know, just settle down. Sephiroth looked my expression over as the two of us began walking again. I suppose, with the right woman. I tried to keep from squealing. When we finally arrived at Panera Bread, Sephiroth and I... I don't know why that's the sentence that broke me. I don't think I can say it with a straight face. When we finally arrived at Panera Bread, Sephiroth and I parted ways. Oh my god. I arrived a bit early and ordered a soda and a sandwich before sitting on by the window on a bar stool. Jamie wasn't known for being early, but I hoped he wouldn't be too late. Oddly enough, I didn't think long before sleep overcame me. I didn't feel that tired, but I just couldn't stay awake. Turn the radio down, please. Sam continued driving down the road, keeping the radio obnoxiously loud as she stared out into the road through black sunglasses. Young Jamie sat beside her, looking like a California beach boy, his feet on the dash. He turned to his sister when she ignored him. Sis, I can barely hear my Walkman. Turn it down. Turning left on the street, the city began fading as country setting became apparent. Jamie stared at his sister as she continued pretending not to hear him. With a huffing sigh, Jamie reached up and made to turn the volume down. Sam immediately pushed her brother's hand away, and Sam turned the volume up louder than it had been before. What's wrong with you? He screeched, offended. Sam didn't respond. You know, Mom died a year ago, and pissing on the world isn't gonna bring her back. Sam made no response as they drove into the driveway of their house. Jamie watched in pained fascination as she put the car in park and turned it off and stepped out into the gravel. He sighed and followed after, slamming his door shut and running into the house. Watching him disappear, Sam took the sunglasses from her eyes and tossed them to the gravel. Just throws away her belonging? Okay. She may be dead, but last I checked, that was still her favorite song. Wow, so edgy. Much dark. She was standing on the edge of a dark void. Everything was shattered around her, floating in nothingness. Of course I'm still here. Where else do I have to go? I don't have anything. I have nothing anymore. Darkness shifted in the space as Sam stepped onto the fragments of void around her. The shattered pieces, the emptiness. You can come back, she choked. You're all I have. She continued crawling over the fragments, searching for him in the dark. Sam, hello, Earth to sister. You've fallen asleep in your pastrami. Groaning, I sat up and awoke, and with it came the realization that my lunch was now littered in my hair. Lovely, I mumbled. Jamie laughed at my predicament. Don't worry, I'll treat you. What do you want? I glared at my sandwich. Anything but this. I joked, pointing at the offending item. Jamie shook his head and kissed the top of mine before running off in line to order. I could barely remember the outline of my dream, and it added to the fog of my confusion. That was twice in one day I'd suddenly fallen asleep and seen strange things. And it was the third set of strange dreams. Perhaps my dreams were actually memories. Jamie returned with food, and I welcomed my brother's loud, talkative distraction from my worries. Well. that's it, folks, for what we have. Did you enjoy it? Because I'm crying. Oh, God, I'm dying. I don't think I'll ever look at Panera Bread the same way again. I really don't. That one wasn't as wild as some of the past ones have been, for sure, but it got dark, and, like, weird dark. Oh, man, that was something. Thank you for listening. Next time I think will be a little longer. I might see if we can do 3 chapters, since these seem to be shorter. Later in, like, an hour-ish, probably like 5, we'll be playing Haunting Grounds, so that's like an hour and a half. If you like what I do and you want to support the channel, check the description for links on how to do that. Bonus content you can receive. Lots of cool stuff for as low as 99 cents a month. You can join the Discord. We hang out and watch movies and play games and are cool. It's awesome. Yeah. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Everyone go celebrate in Panera. And the Arby's, you know, the 2 restaurants that Atlanta has. Go take a nap under that willow tree that's definitely there in the middle of downtown, so... Thanks again, guys. Bye.